these folks out here again who are just saying, we're done with just sitting by, right? And we're not going to obey in advance. We're not going to capitulate.
From this protest in Wilton Manors to gatherings like this all over the country this weekend, people are taking notice and taking a stand against attempts to redistrict the states, while Texas tries and California threatens to one-up them. Florida's leaders are now taking steps to decide whether to redistrict too, instead of waiting for the next census at the end of the decade.
We're in a situation where, we believe there's defects in the current map. We also believe that the districts are malapportioned because of the explosive growth that we've seen in the state of Florida.
Florida's Attorney General actually got that ball rolling in a letter to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. He requested a mid-decade update to the 2020 census, suggesting the census was flawed, and so Florida could use new numbers to redistrict. This attention to census and redistricting comes with political calculation. An increase in population means Florida may add another district or more and more members of Congress. How the district lines are drawn can, of course, determine how many Democrats or Republicans are in those districts and which way the district vote will go. Jessica Lowe-Minor is president of the League of Women Voters of Florida. She helped work to pass Florida's Fair District constitutional amendment 15 years ago that requires lawmakers to draw even and fair district lines without gerrymandering them for political gain. Jessica, great to have you on the program.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Great, thanks. So, wow, 2015 now doesn't seem that long ago when when you participated in that constitutional amendment, and 63% of Floridians voted for what? Compact, square, continuous districts, which kind of makes sense. How does this new effort play with that in place in Florida?
Well, absolutely. In 2010, 63% of Floridians said that they did not want our state's districts drawn on a partisan basis. They did not want them to be drawn with the intent to favor or disfavor a political party or an incumbent. And here we are 15 years later in an unprecedented attempt to redistrict in the middle of a cycle without a new census to justify those numbers.
Can I just stop?
It is an unprecedented situation.
Can I just stop you there for 1 minute? I don't mean to interrupt, but I do want to pick up on what you're saying. Why, inquiring minds want to know, why would a redistricting process not be continuous and compact districts? Well, it's kind of an assumption that redistricting will be unfair. Why is that an assumption?
Well, I don't think that should be an assumption. I think the assumption should be that our state legislature and our state elected officials will follow the state constitution, and that they will draw districts when possible along existing geographical or political lines, such as city limits, such as county lines, such as rivers, or existing geographical landmarks, right? So that is our expectation, that they will redistrict every 10 years, which is required, but that they'll do so in a way that is fair and seeking to serve the interests of voters and not seeking to serve themselves or their political party. That is what voters expect, and that's what we want to see.
Is it fair to want to have a redistricting effort mid-decade if Florida's population numbers do change? Either way, I mean, I know the population of Florida is increasing bit by bit, but if there was a decrease, hypothetically, would it play mid-decade in a proper, lawful way to address those numbers and possibly increase or decrease districts and congressional seats?
Well, so the reapportionment that you're talking about is what allocates how many congressional districts each state will have. And so that really is based on the national census, which has only been done every 10 years. We've actually never in our country's history had a mid-cycle census. And so, that would require a huge national effort to have an entirely new census created. It takes years to plan and organize a successful census. And most experts believe that it's not possible to do a new census and have it be accurate and comprehensive in, kind of on the fly in this manner. And so if we do not have a new and complete census done, then there are no new numbers upon which to base a reapportionment. And so there's no way for Florida to get new seats if there is not a new census done. And so if we are not getting new seats and we're not having to change the maps, then there's no reason to change our current map other than perhaps a partisan intent to gerrymander in favor of a specific party. And so from our perspective at the League of Women Voters, and of course, most Floridians across the state want to see our state legislature spending time on the economic issues that are impacting all of us, the rising healthcare costs, the rising cost of homeowners insurance in our state, housing affordability, education, the fact that it costs so much money to go buy food at the grocery store. Those are the things that our legislature and our governor need to be focusing on, not trying to rig the system to benefit themselves.
All right. Well, in fairness to them, because they're not here to defend themselves, I know that they are working on that because I speak to some of the lawmakers in South Florida every day who are addressing just those things also. So let me take you back 3 years ago. 15 years ago, we talked about. Now, 3 years ago, there was redistricting. The governor, DeSantis, literally pushed through maps that changed some of the lines, one of them being a North Florida district that was really long, splitting it in two. And the significance of that, it was seen as a district that allowed the black majority in that district to elect whom they wanted to elect. That's now split. The Supreme Court, Florida Supreme Court, opined that that was fine eventually. I'm kind of short-circuiting everything. So now there is a letter from the House Speaker sort of getting this ball rolling, asking for a commission for redistricting, and references that Florida Supreme Court opinion as if that sort of paves the way for a redistricting now. Is that how you see it?
No, that's not how we see it. We believe that the court upheld the current district map, which, as you say, was developed by the governor and ultimately approved by the legislature. And so the court held that the current map is constitutional, but they did not say that a new map needed to be done. Had they said that, the court themselves may have put forward a map or may have approved a different map. But the court held that the current map, which was developed, is consistent with the state constitution and with federal standards. And so there is no reason from our perspective to redo that map at this time, certainly not without new census numbers justifying the effort.
Take me through that a little bit deeper, because I'm not sure I'm very clear. It kind of was a split opinion, and it held that the maps did pass muster. But then you still have
Correct.
The question, is this map fair to Florida's African-American community? That question still exists.
Well, ultimately, we don't love the current map. We were part of the plaintiffs who were challenging the map as it had been developed several years ago and ultimately was approved. So we support the standard in our state constitution that says that districts shall not be drawn in order to essentially diminish the representation of a minority community. And so where you have the opportunity for minority communities to elect candidates of their choice, the state constitutional language does encourage the legislature to protect those districts. In this case, we, the League of Women Voters, did not feel like the legislature had done everything it could to effectively protect minority representation. However, the state Supreme Court ultimately upheld the current map as constitutional. However, the state Supreme Court did not argue that the state needed to redraw the map in any way. They upheld the current map.
Will the League of Women Voters of Florida fight any kind of effort to redistrict Florida this time?
Absolutely. I mean, we think that it's very clear that this is a power grab, that this is something that our state constitution expressly prohibits. Again, we cannot in Florida have districts that are drawn with the explicit intent to favor or disfavor a political party or an incumbent. And from our perspective, there is no reason to do a mid-cycle redistricting unless there is a partisan intent.
Florida about to enter the national fray. Jessica, great to have you on the program, and I hope you will keep in touch with us as this progresses.
Thank you so much for covering this. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks.